Hello everybody and welcome back to Earth Elects. On the 30th of January, Portugal held its election for its 230-member unicameral legislature, the Assembly of the Republic. Despite a delay in getting final results, the time in Lisbon is now 10:02 on the 10th of February. That's the capital of Portugal, and the results are in. The people's will has been made clear. This was a snap election held due to the collapse of the minority government led by the largest party, the Socialist Party, which is considered on the centre-left. The party is led by António Costa, a career politician. Costa first entered the Assembly in 1991 and served until 1995 for Lisbon. He served as Minister for Parliamentary Affairs from 1997 to 1999, and then Minister of Justice from 1999 to 2002. He re-entered the Assembly in 2002, where he served again until 2004 for Labour, before he became a Portuguese MEP in 2004. He served until 2005 when he resigned to become Minister of Internal Administration, but he resigned from that role in 2007 to run for Mayor of Lisbon, a post which he won. In 2014 he was elected Secretary General or leader of the party and also became leader of the opposition. In 2015 he resigned as mayor in order to focus on the upcoming national election. When the party did not win the election, coming second, he was able to form a minority government with the support of other left-wing parties in the government, and he has been Prime Minister since 2015. In 2019, the Socialist Party came first with 108 seats and 36.3% of the vote, but still relied on two other left-wing blocs. Their slogan for the election was "Together we continue and achieve." The larger of the two blocs propping up the socialist government was the Left Bloc, which came third in 2019. They're considered to be to the left of the Socialist Party and are especially left-wing on social issues. Catarina Martins has been national coordinator or leader of the party since 2012. They won 19 seats and 9.5% of the vote last time, and are running on the slogan "Strong Reasons, Clear Commitments." The other bloc was the radical left-wing Unitary Democratic Coalition, or CDU. This is a coalition between two parties, the larger being the Portuguese Communist Party, which is specifically Marxist-Leninist. They're led by Jerónimo de Sousa, a long-time communist activist who was first elected to the Assembly for the Republic for Lisbon from 1976 to 1995, and then again for Setúbal from 2002 to 2005, and then switching constituency back to Lisbon from 2005 onwards. He has been the party's General Secretary since 2004, although was recovering in his hospital due to vascular surgery during the campaign, so he missed some debates. The other party in the coalition is the Eco-Socialist Ecologist Party, the Greens, led by Heloisa Apollonia. Running on a joint list, they got 6.3% of the vote and 12 seats, 10 for the Communists and 2 for the Greens. They are running together again in this election, as they have done in every election since 1987, with the slogans "CDU, the decisive force" and "By your side every day." Since 2015, both the Left Bloc and CDU supported Costa and his government in a confidence and supply arrangement, but they voted down the 2021 budget, and this led to this snap election. The main parliamentary right comes from the Social Democratic Party. Despite their name, they are actually a centre-right Liberal Conservative Party who won 79 seats at the last election and 27.8% of the vote. They are led by another career politician, Rui Rio. First elected to the Assembly for Porto in 1991, Rio served as Secretary General or Chairman of the party from 1996 to 1997. In 2002, he was elected as Mayor of Porto, so he resigned from the Assembly, and he served in this position until 2013. An economist by trade, he left politics for a short while to work in that sector before returning in 2018 to run for the leadership of the party, which he won. He is considered on the centre of the party. He has been both party leader and leader of the opposition since 2018. He has also been a Councillor of State, which is an advisory body to the President, whom the head of state must consult before using his official powers, serving in that role since 2019. He was re-elected to the Assembly in 2019, and being a centrist, Rio has not been unanimously popular amongst his party. In 2020, he was challenged for the leadership by Luis Montenegro, the former leader of the party's parliamentary caucus and deputy mayor of Cascais, Miguel Pinto Luz. After a first round in which Rio won 49% of the vote, Montenegro won 41% and Luz won 10%, meaning no candidate had a majority. Luz was eliminated, and there was a second round where Rio won 53% and Montenegro won 47%. Enough to keep Rio in his job, but hardly a vote of confidence. In November 2021, when the snap election had already been called, this happened again, with this challenge coming from Paulo Rangel, a Portuguese MP from 2009 onwards. Interestingly, Rangel said that if elected he would rule out working with the radical right Chega, who we'll discuss later, while Rio did not. Again, Rio survived narrowly, winning the vote with 52% compared to Rangel's 48%. The PSD's slogan for this election is New Horizons for Portugal. Another right-wing party is the CDS People's Party. The CDS comes from Social and Democratic Centre, although now it is always abbreviated. They are a Christian, right-wing party who has won 5 seats and 4.2% of the vote in the last election, which was considered a poor result. The old party leader stepped down, with a leadership race between João Almeida of MP, former MP Felipe Lobo Davila, and president of the Youth Wing, or People's Youth, since 2015, Francisco Rodrigues dos Santos. This election was held in 2020, and in the first-past-the-post race, Rodrigues dos Santos won 47% of the vote and was elected, with Almeida winning 39% and Davila winning 15%. Rodrigues dos Santos thus left his position as People's Youth leader and has been party leader since 2020. The party's slogan is for the same reasons as always. In the autonomous region of Madeira, the PSD and People's Party are running a joint list called Madeira First. In the autonomous region of the Azores, they are doing the same, although there is a third party in the list, the very small People's Monarchist Party, or PPM, a conservative party led by Gonçalo da Câmara Pereira that wants the Portuguese Republic to transition to a constitutional monarchy. This tripartite alliance is known as a Democratic Alliance. Incidentally, the PPM is only running in the Democratic Alliance in Azores and also on its own in Madeira as an alliance in mainland Portugal with another small party, the United Party of Retirees and Pensioners, which is more left-wing, focusing on pensioners' interests, got rejected due to irregularities and is not on the ballot paper. The next party in the Assembly was the Progressive and Green People Animals Nature. They won 4 seats and 3.3% of the vote in the 2019 election, although they only had 3 seats at the time of the election, and because one member became an independent, apparently due to the leader's authoritarianism. In 2021, the old leader resigned to spend more time with his family, and Inês Sousa Real, MP for Lisbon since 2019, was the only candidate, and has been the party's spokesperson since 2021, after winning the election unopposed. The next party was the right-wing populist Chega. And that means enough in English. They won 1 seat and 1.3% of the votes last time. André Ventura, who was a PSD alderman of Loura's City Council from 2017 to 2018, quit the party and founded Chega in 2019. In the 2019 election, he was made the party's sole MP. Their election slogan was "Let's make the system tremble." A different type of alternative rightism came from the Liberal Initiative, a libertarian party who were liberal in both the cultural and economic sense, especially the latter. The previous leader stepped down in 2019, and João Cotrim de Figueiredo, the party's only MP who was elected for Lisbon in 2019, won the leadership unopposed and has been party president since then. In 2019, they won 1 seat and 1.3% of the vote. Interestingly, in the leadership election for the PSD, when Rangel, who was the challenger to the current leader Rui Rio, refused to work with Chega, as well as the People's Party, the Liberal Initiative was the only other party that Rangel identified as a potential ally. The Liberal Initiative slogan in this election was "Ready, Liberalise Portugal." The final party that won seats at the last election was Livre, or Free in English, another left-wing Green party. They won 1 seat and 1.1% of the vote in the last election and have a collective leadership. However, their sole MP was expelled after the party accused her of separating herself from the party after being elected on their list. The party slogan was "The alternative is to be free," a play on words with their name. There were also 11 other parties without representation in the parliament, although none of them had any real relevance in this election, getting less than 1% of the vote in 2019. There were a total of 32 debates, with 2 head-to-head ones between Costa and Rio, and both were a statistical tie according to polling. Rio edged the first debate while Costa edged the second. The electoral system was one with 230 seats split up into constituencies of 2 to 48 seats using the D'Hondt method. This includes 2 seats each for the rest of Europe and the rest of the world for the Portuguese diaspora to vote in. Madeira has 6 seats and the Azores has 5. Those with COVID-19 in isolation were allowed to leave and vote, but were requested to do so in the last hour of the day. Polling suggested that when the election was called, the Socialists had a big lead, but this tightened as the election went on. Chega and the Liberal Initiative were to make gains, while the CDU and Left Bloc would take a hit, and the People's Party were in big trouble. People, Animals, Nature and Livre were looking stagnant. In the end, the Socialists had a big win, claiming 119 seats in defiance of the opinion polling. This was an increase of 11 and enough for a majority. They won 41.5% of the vote, an increase in 5.2%, and they won every district apart from Madeira and the rest of the world district. However, Costa said he may still be open to forming a coalition, emphasising that an absolute majority doesn't mean absolute power. In mainland Portugal and amongst expatriates, the PSD won 73 seats, a decrease of 1, and won 27.8% of the vote, which was up by 1.4%. While in Madeira first elected 3 MPs, all for the PSD, which was no change, with 0.9% of the vote, down by 0.2%. This was 37.5% of the vote in Madeira, and they won the most votes there. The only district in Portugal won by a party other than the Socialist Party, and the PSD won the rest of the world district. Every other district won by the Socialists. And in the Azores, the Democratic Alliance won 2 seats, again all from the PSD, which was no change, with 0.5% of the vote, down by 0.1%. This represented 33.9% of the vote in Azores. So, in total, there were 78 seats for the PSD. The PSD underperforms the opinion polls, and Rio announced that he would resign from the leadership. Chega had a good night with 12 MPs, an increase of 11, and 7.3% of the vote, which represented an increase of 6.0%. Although Ventura blasted the PSD and blamed their lack of willingness to form a united right-wing front for the Socialist majority. The Liberal Initiative also enjoyed themselves, with 8 MPs, an increase of 7, and 4.9% of the vote, up by 3.6%. The CDU lost ground with 6 MPs, down by 6, and 4.3% of the vote, down 2.0%. All 6 MPs were communists, and this meant that the Ecologists were out of the Assembly for the first time. Things were even worse for the Left Bloc, who got just 5 MPs, down by 14, and got just 4.4% of the vote, down by 5.1%. Political scientists have pointed to 2 key factors for the defeat of the far left. Firstly, people were annoyed that they voted down the left-wing government, and secondly, some tactically voted for the Socialists, as opinion polls tightened and the prospect of a right-wing government was becoming possible. The Communists and the Left Bloc explained their defeat by blaming the Socialists for having created a false crisis, which led to the election being polarised into left and right, leading people to vote for the Socialists out of fear. People, Animals, Nature also had a bad result, with 1 MP down by 3 and 1.6% of the vote, down by 1.7%. Susa Real stated that an absolute majority was bad for democracy. Her party were eyeing a place in government if the Socialists failed to get over the line. But they were also a victim of tactical voting. Livre retained their 1 seat and won 1.3% of the vote, up by 0.2%, and pledged to work with Costa. The biggest losers of the night were the People's Party, who lost all 5 seats and won just 1.6% of the vote in mainland Portugal and amongst expatriates, down by 2.4%. This was the first time they were out of the Assembly. Rodrigues dos Santos resigned as party leader for this huge defeat. Turnout was 52.2%, up by 3.6%. All other parties won less than 0.5% and no seats, including the PPM, who won 0.0% of the vote in Madeira. Therefore, the 230 members of the Assembly of the Republic have been elected for their 4-year terms. Well, thank you for watching this bumper edition of Earth Elects. Sorry for the delay. It was them 4 expatriate seats which were taking a long time coming in, and we do have a policy of waiting until final results are in before the election. I hope you enjoyed this one, the first European nationwide election of the year, and we have plenty more of them, as well as some from across the world. The next video to be made, well, we're waiting for full results in Costa Rica before making a video on that election, but we have plenty of videos out, including the Southend West by-election which took place in the United Kingdom. So plenty of content for you if you would like to watch it, but for now it's goodbye from me. Thank you for watching.